Welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrinala, and I come to you from the Pacific Northwest, where I live with my husband, 2 horses that I adopted from the Bureau of Land Management Wildhorse Adoption Program, and 2 kitties we adopted from the local animal shelter. Information about these adoption programs will be in the show notes for every episode. The purpose of this podcast is to share real-life stories that hopefully are relatable to other crafters who might be interested in horses. The format of this podcast starts with a walk to the barn to feed the horses, catch up on the week, share my knitting projects, and other interests like bicycling or hiking. I also talk about vegetable gardening and cooking. I hope you bring your favorite beverage and a fun, crafty project to work on. Enjoy! Good morning, friends. Happy Friday, August 7th, I think. That sounds about right. 2025. Sorry, there's my face. Walking out to the barn to feed the horses. Talk about knitting here. I'm not sure when, because after I feed the horses, I need to go to town. So it'll probably be later. Not that it makes that much difference to you. What can I say about knitting? I went to work, to the office. I work every day except for Fridays. I went to the office a couple times this week, so I got a lot of bus time and light rail time knitting, which was great. So really making a lot of progress on a sock. The mornings that I didn't have to commute, I was able to work on other projects. So I have a few things to show you. I don't have any finished objects, just progress. Yesterday, when I was thinking about my upcoming trip to Wisconsin, I'm leaving next Wednesday, I grabbed, I think, 5 potential projects to take with me. Now, I'm only going to be gone for about 5 days, so that's pretty ambitious. I guess there's just a lot that I want to knit, so that's what that's all about. It's another beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. It had been smoky for several days, but it kind of cleared out. So yesterday it started clearing out. I don't have a lot of horse news. Bragi was a little bit extra. Where is Bragi? He's kind of behind me. Odin's been continuing on his fitness path, and honestly, seems like he feels good. He's being a little bit more playful. He's trotting up to the gate when it's time to come in. I don't know why Bragi has been a little bit extra lately. We had rain last weekend, but that was a while ago. So who knows what's on his mind. My trainer's coming today. So we're going to work with him and see what happens. So I'll catch up. Hey friends, welcome to the knitting part of this podcast. As you can see, I'm sitting in the living room, taking a bit of a break before I get back to work. And all my knitting projects that I want to share with you are here. I still have the blanket, the 100-acre wood blanket. I did put maybe 1 square in last week, but not enough to really show. So first, let's start off the way we always start. What am I wearing? This is see if I can do this without. This is the Bright Axis Tee. It is a pattern from Stephanie Lotven out of the book Knit Happy with Self-Strapping Yarn. It's a boat neck, so, and it lives in my drawer, so it's always a little bit rumpled, and it's entirely possible I have it on backward, but that is okay. So I have a little bit of a frog in my throat. The grass is pollinating, and I am somewhat allergic to grass, so that does impact my allergies somewhat. But shall we start on the finished objects? So I finished my 2 at a time socks, and I really like them. I am going to do this again. I think you could do any pattern with 2 at a time. So toe up, I initially started them a little inside out accidentally because I'm not that familiar with the toe up. But then so it's reverse stockinette, and then I got it going in the right direction. And I used, was about a 50-gram ball of leftovers, and I used every single bit of it. I did use a little bit of contrast yarn for the heel flap. I'm not sure what this is. This could be the heel turn, actually. And then I ended up, when I divided the ball, I didn't divide it quite evenly. So there is a little bit of maybe 2 rows plus a bind off of the contrast yarn. But this one I used, you can see I used the whole leftover ball. And there was just a little bit of this color. This is how much yarn I had left. Great use of yarn. And that is one nice thing about 2 at a time socks, is that you can really monitor how much yarn you have left over if you want. So this, you need a 40-inch circular needle. I used Chogu red lace, US size 0. I could have gone up a needle size, I think, to US size 1, which is 2.25 millimeter versus the 2 millimeter. And this is the pattern. I believe it's a free pattern, and it's by Knit Picks. So let me know if any of you have ever knit socks 2 at a time in this way. I have certainly knit them, what do you call it, concurrently with 2 different sets of needles, but never on the same needle. And I admit I really like this technique. Okay, what else do I have a half finished object for you, and this has been my public transportation knitting. So this is a great pattern. It's by Sofia's Tales. It was a mystery sock knit along. I haven't sewn in the ends at all. It's cuff down, and it is a broken rib, which makes a very squishy sock. This is repurposed yarn from a colorwork long pair of socks that I started, and then they ended up being way too big. So I unraveled the whole thing, put it in a ball, and this is what I have left of it. So it is going to obviously start out different. I'll use the same contrast for the 2-color contrast yarn, and then knit the whole thing with the rest of this, and hopefully I have enough. So that is that. We'll see how today goes. I have a lot to do today, so it would be fun to cast on the second sock for this, just for bust knitting next week when I get back from Wisconsin. This is a bag made by my mom. Speaking of Wisconsin, we went to Door County a couple years ago, maybe 3, and Door County in Wisconsin on Lake Michigan is known for its cherries, and so this is the fabric she bought at a store in Sturgeon Bay and made me a project bag. So love that. What else do I have for you? Projects you have seen versus projects you haven't seen. So this is the book that this top came out of, Knit Happy with Self-Strapping Yarn. I have also knit this pattern, backlit tee a couple times. And in fact, I'm using this to finish my sock arms. This is the Bright Axis tee. This is what it looks like. So the saga of the sock arms cardigan. The sleeves are on try-on tubing, just waiting for the body of the sweater to be done. I am helically knitting, so I can't do the cardigan as I had planned. So I decided to use the pattern for the backlit tee for the yoke. This is where I'm at. So I have done the short rows in the back. I have done all the increases, and now I'm just doing the depth. Hopefully I have enough yarn. So I'm using these 2 balls of yarn, which are, I think you can see, are slightly different. This is a much cooler dye lot than this one is. So hopefully the helical knitting is going to do the job. And I also have this. And one thing I need to keep in mind is that when you do wind balls of yarn, they are much heavier than the caked yarn. So that's sometimes I start panicking about not having enough yarn, but recognize that the ball yarn goes on forever. So this will be in the repertoire for a while. This is a bag made by my husband on his industrial sewing machine. It's pleather or fake leather, so it's kind of falling apart. This is real leather. This is from a belt. So, but I love it. It's lined with felt. It's a great bag. So let me put that over here, and how about get a drink of my tea while I'm at it. So I hope you have something nice to drink and maybe something to work on. Okay, another familiar project that I haven't really worked on. So this was another one where I had to restart. This is in a bag made by a friend of mine who was influential in my knitting. And ironically, there's a crochet project in here. So I had to rip it all the way back. I had like most of the length of the body done, but realized I didn't have enough stitches, or the stitches varied too much. So I reset it up. I haven't decided whether I'm going to take this project. I could take this project. It's pretty easy. I think I will set that over here as consideration. So, oh, forgot to tell you what the pattern is. So this is out of a 2012 crochet magazine, and it is called the Vernal top. So it's that one right there. It has a kind of cool pattern. It has this kind of nifty edging, and then this is what the stitches look like. I would almost call it a seed stitch if I were to compare it to knitting. So it's basically alternating double crochet and single crochet, and then doing the opposite on the way back. And you knit crochet to a front and a back. So I may take that. We'll set that over there. What is this? In this bag, which is a bag I got from a conference, and Herbert modified it for me by chewing through the straps. This is a hat that I started at the Fiber Fusion Northwest, and it's a colorwork hat. It's made out of worsted and possibly some bulky yarn. So it's on 16-inch circulars. These are a brand I'd not knit with before, Leica. And they are US size 7. So since this was a colorwork class, I just grabbed a bunch of scrap yarn that I had. So these are the 3 colors. I had made some more progress on it. Also, this is what I use for the cast on. So kind of a vintage style of needle. And I think these are US size 5. I did this is where I learned the 2 color cast on, which I really like. Herbert's gonna come up. Oh, don't fall off the couch, buddy. There you go. I learned the 2-color cast on, and this was a class on Fair Isle knitting. So Herbert is really interested in my socks, so I'll get those out of his reach. And he's right here. He's gonna, yeah, hello. So I may take this project too, because I think I haven't decided whether this is going to be a gift or a hat for me. It's obviously a winter hat. Well, hi Herbert, would you like to sit in my lap? I'm thinking he would. Pardon me. Hold please while the cat gets comfortable. What he really wants is me to get up and give him this spot. So, which will happen after I'm done vlogging here. So, but I'm not going to let him push me out of the way. In this bag, made by my mom, this is a quilted bag with some neat batik fabric on the inside. You're so helpful. Yeah, you're so helpful. You're very cute. He's a very big kitty. He went to the vet on Friday and he checks out. He's just a little chubby, so he's weighing in at about 17.5 pounds, and he probably needs to lose a pound, so he's on a diet. Cats are doing okay. There might have been evidence of a squabble yesterday while both of us were not in the house. We were both at work, but we don't really know for sure, and they slept together last night on the bed. Okay, in this bag are the Chim Cheree socks by Kay Jones. This is the second sock pattern for Summer of Stitching for her patrons. So, but it's a cool pattern. Let's see if I can show it. So I am using self-striping yarn, and I am using a leftover colorway from, this is a Freckled Whimsy colorway, and it was one of the Halloween clubs, and I think it's Pinkoween, very Pinkoween, or Happy Pinkoween. So, and I haven't got very far on it. I'm using short circular needle. So yeah, in fact, I just cast on, I mean, basically that's what I did on Saturdays. I just cast on a bunch of projects. So I think I did the 2-color cast on. Here's the contrast yarn. Yeah, you love that, don't you? So I don't know whether I'll take this one along or just keep it for bust knitting. So I may do that. So I'm going to put that. You know, you're helping me pack for the trip, so I appreciate that. What else? So in this bag, also made by my mom. My mom has made me a lot of bags. This one's a lined one. I love the purple flowers on it. And this is another pair of socks. This is a pattern. So in Maine, New Hampshire, there was the Grandview Country Store. I think it's closed. The owner of this place, it's in Brandel, New Hampshire, which is near Gorham, if you're familiar with that part of the country. And it's on Highway 2, US Highway 2. And she put out these newsletters that I got on the mailing list. Of course, I bought yarn there. Randy's aunt and uncle live north of there, and his aunt worked in this store for quite a long time. So of course I went there and bought yarn, but this is a spiral tube sock. So it's just really a really fun newsletter, and this was winter of 2011. So part of the newsletter had books, part of it had patterns, but it's very kind of old-timey in a way. And I think other stuff that she carried at the time, little sweaters, and then kind of a schedule of events, and then a pattern. So I thought I would knit these socks. And I am using a kind of a thicker yarn, and this is hand dyed by Nativity, who is based out of Houston, Texas, I think. So I thought this would be really fun. And again, this is one that is just barely cast on. And I think I used a traditional cast on. I didn't do a two color cast on. So again, just started the ribbing. Got it going in the round, just started in the ribbing. And these are also Chogu mini twist. And I think these are a 2.75 millimeter. So I'm knitting the small size. The other socks with the mini twist, I think, are the 2.5 millimeter socks. So I think I'm going to put that over there. This is shaping up very nicely. And then finally, in this bag, also made by my mom, this is just a simple drawstring bag. It's not lined or anything. I am making a shawl out of repurposed yarn. The pattern is by the Crayabea, and it's the Dafty Days shawl. So this is a great project for an advent, or using scraps with the main color, or maybe you could just totally do it scrappy. So I am doing this out of yarn that I repurposed from a cowl that I ripped out. It's just a circular cowl that, I don't know, I don't like the way those fit. So, and I had some really nice yarn. So I have this really pretty main color, and then I have all these minis of kind of different shades of green and pinks. So let me see if I can show this. So here they are. So here's, and there's 6 of them. Let's see. And this green in here as well. So, oh, and there's another pink in here, but I'll keep you posted on this. So I'm using Chogu red lace, and this is what I have so far. Let me show you the right side. So not very much, but I have a couple stripes in. So I started with the main color. I have the first stripe, the main color, and it's a 4-stripe repeat. And then I'm starting on the second stripe. So I plan on just striping this as I go, you know, basically until I run out of yarn. I'm using Chogu red lace, US size 3, and it's just as the pattern calls for. So that is the knitting, and finally I'm glad I finally got to catch up with you on this, and I'm also glad that I waited, that my schedule required me to wait to finish this vlog, because I had some finished objects to share with you and maybe a little bit more news. So the other thing that we did over the weekend on Sunday, Randy's niece has a couple horses, and one of them she does barrel racing and pole bending and stuff like that. So there was an event that was near us, and we went and watched her run at least one of the events, and it was a pole bending event. So very fast, and it was great to hang out with her and her boyfriend for a couple hours, and it was a beautiful day. And then the rest of the day I worked in the garden. I got horses ready for, I swear it takes days to get the horses ready for a 5-day trip. My neighbor is going to be feeding them. Randy will be at least giving them hay on the day that I return, because they are also going out of town. She and her husband are going out of town, and then I get to watch her horses. So when I get back, so it works out really well. The hard part is when we're gone at the same time. So then we have to find other arrangements, but not a big deal. I think that's all the news that I have. I hope that you have a great week, and I will try to do some vlogging while I'm in Wisconsin, because that's always fun. But I'm going to let Herbert have my spot on the sofa, and I'm going to get back to work. Take care, everyone.